the gifts that you've been given, but it's about serving other people. And so if you apply that sort of humility in your daily life, that'll catch. People will see that in the 30,000 some odd decisions that you make every day, from the time you get out of bed to the time you go to bed. People will see that. And then the action word for competence being discipline. So the root word of discipline being disera, to learn, to teach, right? Which is also kind of the same with disciple. So it's not about being uniform in our appearance necessarily in the military. There is that aspect to it. It's not about being uniform in thought, but it's about having an attitude that you're willing to learn every day. That, as a reservist that's kind of been out of the game for a couple years and he's asked to come back on active duty, there's an information, there's a knowledge gap there. But if you jump in with both feet and you're saying, hey, here I am, I'm ready to learn, I'm ready to be here, come by your side, then over time you will exemplify that competence. So that's it in a nutshell.
That's incredible. I'm hearing a lot about humility there. Your definition and philosophy of leadership based on your experience in the Navy.
Yeah. I tend to think of myself as a facilitator as much as possible. I am facilitating the awareness of the people that are subordinate to me, and that's by being aware of what the situation is, what higher leaders want, what the overall impact is that we need to have, communicating that to them, and then giving them to figure out how we are going to solve the situation, fix the problem, or creatively work around or toward whatever the goal is. And they all have points of expertise and skills that I do not possess. I cannot possibly possess all the skills of a guy, of a platoon of guys, or even a fire team, 4 guys. There's no way I can have all the skills that the 4 other people in that fire team have. So after I've communicated what the goal is, my whole purpose is to support them in what they're doing. Now, if supporting them in what they're doing is making sure they get funding and making sure they're getting moral support, okay, I'll do that. If the support they need is moving motors around or cleaning guns, I'll do that. If it's writing a paper, a point paper to justify a different way of administration going about things, then I will write the best paper, the best point paper on earth in order to support my guys. Because they've identified a way to get things done, and I have a way to help them get that done. So really it's about figuring out how to help the people around me. And in the Navy, there's kind of a hierarchy. But even when I'm not the designated leader, you can be the leader in example, humility, humbling yourself to the person that is in charge, making sure the person that is in charge is getting what they need, being proactive for that person, and setting an example for other people around you, whether they're your peers or junior or even senior to you. But, I guess setting the example of serving other people has been the way I've worked about it.
So again, coming back to this humility is what you're saying, and then what you're saying is the character competence, but all of that, the foundation for that is humility. Again, I'm learning tonight as I'm speaking, but are we all hearing this tonight? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Monday morning week, and here's what I don't want us to do. I don't want any of us in this room to be thinking about your boss. Don't be thinking about the person you're thinking, oh, if they just could be here to hear this, right? This is for me tonight. This is for you. So when we go back to the workplace on Monday, we're hearing, okay, humility. We're hearing, okay, serving my people. I'm hearing how do I empower the people. I'm hearing, you want to say something?
Well, yeah, just kind of I was digging what Lou was saying. So it's really nothing that we're doing per se. We might try to set the conditions for people to do the brilliant things that they can do. But it's not about us. It's about your team and using their talents. It's about using that sniper, that breacher, that lead nav, the lead climber, the heavy guns. It's about bringing all the talents that you have to bear and optimizing that, and knowing that sometimes the best thing that I've done is just get out of the way.
Wow. Okay. So with that being said, let's dive into teamwork, because you guys in the SEALs are all about teams, right? And the way the world is going, it's teams, right? Everything is teams. So let's talk about teamwork. What is teamwork and what are the traits? And I'm going to ask each and every one of you. Jake, we'll start with you. What are the traits that make a really great team? And if you have any stories with you can share, like any examples, what makes a great team?
Well, I remember one example. Have you heard of the Global Leadership Summit?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Bill Hybels, there's a church, a huge church out in Illinois. Bill Hybels, they're bringing a ton of great speakers from Illinois.
So I remember going to that a couple years ago, and there was this guy from Google's people operations.
Okay.
And so what he talked about in terms of what makes a great team was not so much whether or not you have the Tom Brady or who was the other guy? I can't even remember. Peyton Manning. Yeah, he's not the GOAT. Or the LeBron James or whoever you got on your team. It's not about necessarily that MVP. It's more about how the team interacts in terms of how they were able to measure performance and success and things like that. So then when we start talking about how teams interact, I mean, Lou and I have been talking about communication a lot recently, and that is something that is that's like a line of operation that is something that is always going on every single day, every single minute, that you need to be aware of. That, like, how are you communicating in everything that you do, whether it's through email, phone calls, body language. How is that signal that you're transmitting actually being received? Because there's a lot of noise in between. So I would start off with communication.
And probably not even just from the leader to the team, but all the team members need to have that understanding, right? How I'm presenting myself to the team right now, this is really important. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Teamwork. What are the really great traits of the team you can work for? Or just any team?
Yeah, every team has its own dynamics. Some teams are going to be better than others. I'll say the hallmarks of the most effective teams I've been on are very, very high level of respect for each other. Now, respect, you got to earn it. Even in the community, you go through the same training, but you're still earning respect, and you have to earn it every day.
And how does one earn respect? Okay, we'll come back.
Yeah.
How does one earn respect on the team? Because that is important. You have to earn it.
Jake said it earlier. Humility. So there's that aspect of humility, the character and confidence. The character and confidence.
Wow. Every team member has to bring that to the table.
And when you have a team member that's lacking in one or the other,
Wow.
it slows things down.
Yeah, it's not net negative sometimes.
It can actually be worse with that person there. Even if they're really good at this, but the character's off, they will bring the team down more than if they weren't there at all.
What are examples of bad character on the team?
Oh gosh, arrogance.
Arrogance.
Yeah. Arrogance will bring the team down 100% of the time. The guy who thinks things are about him will bring the team down, because that guy inherently is not looking out for his teammates. He is expecting things from himself. And no one is perfect. Like I said, my mom beat a lot of the arrogance out of me. Bud's beat a lot more of it out. Still, you find little flashes of it, like, oh wait, I just found that. And I'll tell you what, it was really coming up in my marriage. Maybe that's coming up later on in our time.
Yeah.
But arrogance in the team can destroy it, especially if it isn't addressed. Lack of confidence, if it's not addressed. You have to address it constructively. But no team is going to start perfectly. Everyone is going to have rough spots. You're going to kind of conform and form and work on each other. And you're going to, at least if you've got a bunch of good teammates, develop trying to be worthy of everyone else on your team. And so a team that's willing to help someone develop, help everyone develop, recognizing that everyone is imperfect, is a hallmark of a good team. Everyone that's looking out for everyone else, everyone that's willing to put themselves aside to help the others. These are all common things that I've seen on the best teams I've been on.
How do you take? Go ahead.
I just have something to illustrate that.
Please, yeah.
So when I was a platoon commander, this is about the time when I met Lou, maybe a little bit before Lou came along. But so back when I was a platoon commander, I think our platoons were still around 16 people. And you have a platoon commander, and we had 2 platoon AOICs, and then you had a platoon chief. The platoon chief is, he's the bee's knees of the platoon. He's the guy that's been around the longest. He's the guy that the junior officers are paying attention to, especially the 2, when I say AOIC, it's assistant officer in charge, so sorry for the acronyms. And then you've got a leading petty officer that's just kind of one notch below the chief. And 16 SEALs is, it's like, I remember back in the day, like I felt like we could go anywhere in the world and nobody could tell us what to do. We could do whatever we wanted, and it's kind of an addicting feeling. But the chief that I had in the beginning was way low on character, and ultimately ended up being low on competence too. But we were out in Island, kind of about 100 plus miles east of San Diego-ish. Desert kind of terrain, and he was kind of new getting back into things, so he had to knock some rust off, and we started off with, out in Island, it's called land warfare, and he just did not know what was going on. And so he was a little insecure of himself, and one morning we woke up, though, what made it worse was one morning we woke up and we're looking for him because we needed to start getting going for the day, and he wasn't there. And the night before, there was a bunch of rain that came down. It was like a flash flood out there in Island. And what had happened was he got stuck out in town because he left camp, and he shouldn't have left camp. He didn't tell anybody. He had a mistress that he was hanging out with in Calipatria. And we had just linked up. We had started a good relationship. I went over to his house, barbecue, brand new baby with his wife, and he called up saying that he couldn't get back to camp because he had run out to the local convenience store, and he got stuck. So we're like, how did he get out to the local convenience store when it was flash flooding? Turns out he was lying. That's how we found out he was lying. Went and saw a mistress, and the trust was just broken. The guys didn't trust him. He ended up screwing up even worse 2 weeks later on that trip when he didn't load out the right gear. He was supposed to be packing extra batteries and a radio, and instead of him packing extra weight, he put it on one of our new guys.
Wow. And this guy was a SEAL as well.
He was a SEAL, yeah.
He was a SEAL.
Yep. And so he was relieved, and fortunately we didn't have to deal with him anymore. That was a character flaw for the most part. The second guy was a guy that was a great guy, but didn't have very good muzzle discipline, didn't know what he was doing when we would go in the house, and he was just a safety risk. Great guy though, but just totally incompetent. And what I saw as a platoon commander was when we started land warfare, by the time we started land warfare and we lost those we were able to move those 2 guys along, we were actually a better team, fighting unit, running on all cylinders, getting praises from the training detachment by the end of our workup with less people, but because we were working better as a team.
Because you got rid of someone who lacked the competence and got rid of someone who lacked the character. That's huge.
I will say, it wasn't just he doesn't know what he's doing, he's fired with that second guy he was talking about. That was the first platoon, my first, one of the early trips in that platoon. They worked with that guy a lot. They were willing to work with him extra time after hours on the skill sets. Because you can make it through training, be a tough son of a gun, be a good teammate, always sacrifice. And that's one thing that you could say about this guy. He always sacrificed himself for the team. First one up, last one to bed, always doing stuff for the boys. He just couldn't pick up the skills we needed to pick up in the teams. Jake, the other guys, worked with him a lot after hours, trying to get him to be competent at the skills. So I wanted to clarify, it's not just, he's gone, we're lighter weight, let's start running. They work with him really hard. Because one, that builds trust. If you just ditch a dude as soon as he makes a mistake or shows a little bit of incompetence, trust will actually erode. And I've seen that in some platoons where they eat their own and the team never gels because they're always walking on eggshells. It actually breeds a little bit of that fault, the facades, and they never really are willing to grow. They're not willing to expose their weaknesses.
It sounds like with competence, you want to help the person get better.
Yeah.
What about character? Like, you share the story, what do? You know, the person makes a mistake and it's clear that that's a character issue.
I cannot think of a time where I had a teammate with a character, a destructive character flaw, where we could work with him and he would come out improved.
So competence, maybe, have you seen that happen when you get competence, you help the person get better than they can? Character, you're saying, I mean, that's just kind of who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough thing, you know, especially in this audience. I wrestle with, you know, grace and how much mercy to give versus holding a standard so that other people can see that and understand that. Not playing favorites or things like that can also erode trust. But I will say I do try to lean on the side of mercy. So I do have some examples. Me included, who has been given plenty of second chances, as we all have, right? Yep. Praise God. By the grace of God, right here. And a recent example, guy gets a DUI at my command, and there's kind of a standard template and how that goes. But what we see a lot these days is a lot of guys, instead of trusting kind of the leadership at the command that we're at, or the organization we're at, that we are going to properly judge them, discern what happened, and give them the benefit of the doubt. We see a lot of people just seeking legal counsel and pleading the fifth and just wanting not to say anything. And so that's what happened in this guy's case. He was a good kid, wanted to go to Buzz, got in a motorcycle accident, lost a lot of use of his right arm, and he was hurt. He felt like his dreams had been dashed, and he was drinking with a buddy and got a DUI and didn't know how to deal with it. And the first step is to talk to all the senior enlisted leaders so that they can kind of quiz him and ask him what's going on with his life, and he didn't say anything. He's like, nope, I've been advised not to say anything. I don't want to, essentially incriminate myself. And I knew he was a good kid, and he came before me, and he just wanted to let it go. And so it was one of those times where we had a great conversation when he came before me, and I still needed to hold the standard a little bit. But afterwards, I was able to put my arm around him and just tell him I loved him and I was proud of him. And he just he took off from there. He's like, I made a mistake. I'm gonna make the most of it. I appreciate you holding me accountable, and he's doing well.
So there is room for grace,
Yeah, so a mistake makes not a character flaw.
Right.
It's
right.
Destructive mistake that happens again and again. They're getting the mentorship, they're getting the counseling, the support, and they continue doing that despite everything that could be helping them away from that.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Everyone makes mistakes. I love working with my guys and doing the mistakes of 24-year-old new memory, 26-year-old new memory, 20 great lessons. And I learn more from their perspective on the mistakes about myself than I do in the situation, or even reflecting by myself in the situation. But I have people working with me on those mistakes. They're all different. And I'll work with anyone on the mistakes. You just have to have that growth mindset, humility to say, yeah, that was a decision, a bad decision, or yeah, that was showing something that was not good for the team. I'm willing to grow out of it. If someone has that growth mindset, is willing to learn.
Growth mindset, that's good.
Usually if they have growth mindset,
that's right, yeah.
if they have that growth mindset, that mistake is not indicative of a character flaw. Usually it's a mistake of just a bad decision.
But not the same decision 3 or 4 times in a row.
Exactly.
That's where the character comes in. How do you lead? Because you both you're strong. Like you both could rip my face off right now if you wanted to, right? I mean,
Let's refer back to the previous statement.
You're too humble to do that in front of. But I mean, we're all looking at you. And how are you Navy SEAL? Okay, these answers are so deep and in depth, and this is what I've been spending time with you guys, and I'm just so impressed with that. But you're strong, man. Okay, so you get a bunch of strong people in the SEAL team. You have to be strong to get there. How do you lead a team build? And we have seen New Hope. Here's what I know. We have a lot of leaders here, and a lot of these people are strong, right? So this is a good. How do they go back and they've got people in their team that are strong? Well, they've got. How do you lead a group of strong people?
So there was this one time. It wasn't band camp. I'm small, I run fast. It's a strength. I thought that would be a strength that would really put me at the front of the platoon, just kind of rub it into the guys on all the runs, just smoke them. That didn't work. Showing you're the strongest dude, a measuring contest, if you will, it doesn't work. If you're a small guy, you end up in a small locker. Have your strength. Make sure you're channeling your strength to help the team, not rub it in.
Wow.
Lesson learned.
That's good. That's good.
You're surrounded by a bunch of very smart people, or maybe they're not smart people, whatever your situation is. But you're surrounded by people who have skills that you don't understand, they have strengths that you don't know about. The best thing you can do, like Jay said earlier, get out of the way, learn about them, harness them, and do not ever try to prove. Maybe one. Maybe it's once it's okay to prove you're the fastest guy, the strongest guy, the smartest guy, whatever it is about you. But after that, make sure you're not proving it, make sure you're using it. Otherwise you might end up in the locker.
And that's for anybody on the team too, right? I mean, that
goes for anybody. You have the meanest of the meatheads. He can be dropping as much weight as a Magnuson is putting up, but it won't matter if he's not using that for the team. If he's just using that to rub it into the guys.
It all comes back.
Make the other people see and feel superior.
It's all about the team.
Yeah, and that's why, like you've been saying too, leading thyself is, step one. Because if you are on a team like that with a bunch of superstars, and say you're in a position of leadership, make no mistake, they're all watching you.
They're all watching you. Let's talk about that real quick. Self-leadership. What are, for the leaders in the audience tonight, what are 3 traits that you think are great for a person to lead themselves? I think self-leadership is that's probably the toughest leadership, right? What are 3 things that you've learned, experienced, that you've seen, great self-leadership traits or actions, whatever they might be?
Well, I can say some things I've observed about Lou.
Please, yeah, absolutely. Please.
So it's been fun for me to get to know Lou again after. When was that? That was
2007 through 2009.
2009, and then we just kind of reacquainted this last fall, I guess. Yeah, and so one of the things that I've observed about Lou that I think is a great leadership quality about him is, that constant positive presence. And not only does he lead himself, so he won't tell you that in terms of and I think we might talk about this later, but in terms of transitioning and dealing with that stress and his wife and his kids and how do I shoulder that burden. He gets up at 4:30 every morning. He gets his coffee going. He writes his thank you notes, handwritten thank you notes if he needs to. He covers his interview notes. He was on the clock, and he was moving and shaking, and he's juggling a lot of things. And so he's starting off his day, like you probably heard Admiral Craver talk about, is making his bed. So he's getting those quick wins from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And getting those reps in that just kind of build throughout the day. And that's one thing that I've noticed about Lou, that I'm like, dude, I want some of that, you know? And but a positivity about him that is, it's just contagious. And then the other thing that I really like about Lou too, that I think is a strong leadership quality, whether you're in a position of leadership or not necessarily, is the ability to think critically without being critical. And
explain that.
So it's
think critically
like,
without being critical.
It's like, hey boss, I heard you talking about this, and I'd like to know a little bit more about what you're thinking about, so that I can support you as best as I can, because these are the things that I'm thinking about, and I just want to make sure that we're in good alignment. But he's offering up his, his critical mind in a way that is not abrasive, a way that's not, putting kind of the stoplights on.
I forgot what I asked. I'm getting lost.
Leadership traits, and I just took the opportunity to brag on
No, that's right. So self-leadership traits. Yeah, I'm getting lost in these answers. So self-leadership traits that these men, right, as we get back to the marketplace on Monday, what are self-leadership traits that we need to have based on experience?
There's a really good mentor of mine. I talked about talking about with my peers, my subordinates, sometimes the boss, the failures and mistakes of Lou Emery at different ages. That was not a Lou Emery idea, that was a Jimmy May idea. Or I got it from Jimmy May. Where he got it, maybe it's Jocko, I don't know.
Jocko, love that guy, yes.
Yeah. So Jimmy would sit down with us and he'd start discussions with, all right, so I'm going to walk you through an epic failure. So Jimmy did this. All right, what would you do next? And we'd work through these things. And we'd learn from his mistake. And we'd talk through his mistake and we'd kind of reflect on, okay, how would I do that better? The benefit of being an armchair quarterback, with the quarterback walking through, the reel. And when I got to my platoon, I had my own platoon. That was really good. What am I going to talk to these guys about? The humility, it was embarrassing to talk about my mistakes. And so the first time I sat down with the guys in my platoon to go through one of these development sessions, ate a massive humble pie, realized Jimmy can do this, I can do this. It was an imperfect walkthrough of a failure, but I'll tell you what, I learned a ton from that failure because I was willing to open up and allow guys to pick it apart. And the more I got to exposing my failures for open kimono, make fun of me, let's tear this apart and learn, the more I was able to grow on it and grow from the experiences. Did a great thing in the Catholic faith, the confession. So you got to find the right priest who's willing to work with you on this. But you find the right priest, you're confessing. He's like a life coach. You are reflecting on the sins of the week, the month, or however long it's been since you've been in that funny box. But you open up on some of your failures, and the right priests are the guys who walk you through and they can help you dissect. Okay, what was going on in your head when that happened? And they help you see how you can develop from there. Because not the point of confessing or working through your failures or opening up about shortcomings isn't to make yourself look like an idiot. You feel that way sometimes. But it's so you can grow from it and crowdsource the perspectives, crowdsource the knowledge on growing. So I'd say if you can find someone that you trust and open up to on a failure, start with one person. Wow. And kind of the Jimmy May example of opening up, he's opening up to an entire platoon, setting an incredible example of, I'm opening up my failures to you guys for critique. He set a growth mindset for that entire group of people.
So there's a benefit to transparency and authenticity as a leader. Because I'm thinking Navy SEALs, like you don't want to, like you can't show weakness to your guys, right? You can't show weakness. You're saying the opposite.
Well, there is some of that though too, and that's, some people get away with it for sure, and some people are just that good.
To not show
I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah. But when you do see an epic fail, really epic fail, like when someone gets relieved of doing that job, that's often something that you find is that they weren't willing to be honest with themselves and honest with the team.
So being honest with ourselves, being honest with the people around us. And I like what you said, and this is the importance of small groups and discipleship, finding people you trust. So it's not just anybody, right? You just don't go share it with anybody. It's finding people that you trust. Is this good for everybody tonight? You guys enjoying this? Okay, all right. Half past. Oh my goodness, so we gotta get you guys out of here. Okay, let me wrap this up. The role of faith and the leader, okay? So when we talk about that, and I know that we've had talks, and I think you come from the Catholic faith, I know you were evangelical and Christian. Wrap this up for us as we talk about, and give our guys, again, something they can go with on Monday, the role of faith and leadership, God and leadership. It's a big question,
God,
especially for Navy SEAL.
Yeah, it's finding role models. So Jesus, incredible role model. It's hard to live up to a role model that is perfect. So can you find an imperfect role model? Knowing that despite the imperfection, they are going in the right direction. Belief that you can do it. You do have to trust that opening up your weaknesses, kind of dissecting yourself and finding those weaknesses, but also knowing that you have God-given strengths to help you conquer those weaknesses or those failures is a big part. And you got someone there with you.
Yeah.
So, oftentimes it's easier to do it with an actual human. It's relatable. But when you don't have that other person, you do have someone with you. You do have the being that created you that is there. A little bit deeper dig to find that, but that dig is worth it. Find that strength to work on the imperfections. Always shooting for that lofty goal of being a better man, an incredible husband, a great father, or whatever it is that you are. Having the goal, recognizing that you have God with you, and then in times when you're feeling weak, have an actual man there with you, having someone there with you to work with you through that. And what better place in a community that also has similar goals, similar belief system, can help you through this.
We didn't practice these answers. I didn't ask you to do that. That was incredible. Build on that. Role of faith.
Yeah.
So you got a lot to say.
Got a lot of things swirling around. I guess what I would encourage you to do is, let's see, how should I say this? So the times where I've gotten myself in the most trouble in my professional life is when I've defined myself as Jake the SEAL, or Jake the student, Jake the, you can even say Jake the husband, Jake the father. It's got to be Jake's identity is in Jesus Christ our Lord. And I didn't start wrestling with that until, well, I'd always been wrestling with it. And that was the thing. It's like I defined myself so long by my profession. And that was that's one of the things that hurt and did the most damage in my marriage. Did damage with my relationships with friends and family. even kids sometimes. And it wasn't until I kind of was able to wrestle through that and do the discipleship group and have fellowship with other godly men that were seeking his knowledge, his kingdom, and his righteousness first. And then growing, experiencing that period of spiritual growth mindset. And then wrestling that I want my identity to be in Jesus Christ. And then, so what does that mean? In the workplace, the Lord wants us to be reconciled to Him. It's not like you have a work sphere and then you have a faith sphere. To Him, it's all the same. And there's ways, that you can go about it. And there's people that you can confide in. And the thing that's been cool is as I've invited Him in, I've kind of felt the enemy too, but as I've invited that into my workplace, and that's what the tagline, humility precedes honor. The conversations I have at work and the conversations that, Lou and I never had these conversations in 2007, 2009. But we've invited that into our lives and into our workplace where, it's okay to say that you love Jesus. And it's just cool to be able to find ways to reflect His glory in that way. Because workplace, think of how many hours you're at work.
Absolutely.
And that's workplace ministry, So I would say, your identity is in Jesus, not in you as the doctor, or you as the dentist, or you as the silver serviceman, or whatever, It's you and Jesus Christ, and be reconciled to Him.
Man, this is awesome. Honestly, we could sit here and do this for 2 more hours. I could keep doing this, but we got to get these gentlemen home to their families and their wives. So I think the takeaway, I'm seriously, we didn't practice any of this, did we? I just sent you some questions, but we didn't practice this. So I'm taking away some key takeaways tonight. Humility. This is huge. That it's never about me, right? It's always about the team. I love that, the greater aspect. That on the teams I work on, in my workplace, yours the same. When we make it about us is when we get in trouble. That's when we get our feelings hurt, the ego comes in. When we make it about the team, about the mission, that's when success is found. Humility. So for the younger people who are in this audience tonight, and I'm thinking of the 1 or 2 who say you want to be a SEAL one day, I'm just blown away because it's not about the meathead, the hoorah, I'm going to take the wall. That might get you there, but it won't sustain you on your way through. And as we're able to see tonight, these guys who I respect a great deal, just humility just underlies everything. So I think as leaders, as we walk out, I know this is what I'm gonna go and journal tonight on this and process this. How do we be more humble in the workplace, right? So if we're in a leadership position, how are we more humble with the people that are under us? If we're in a servant position, if we're not the lead person, how do we come to that team with more humility? I think we were able to walk away from this tonight with just that one word. Humility. Humility is not thinking less of myself, it's thinking of myself less. How do we take that in the workplace as a leader or as a manager, as a team person, whatever that is? I think our workplaces will do great. And I think it's important because, as you said, we're in the workplace so much. And I think as Christian men, those of us who call ourselves Christian men, that's the one place that we can shine without saying anything. We don't have to beat people across the head with our Bibles. We can go in and just show up and be humble. So if there are moments when it's about me, I can't make it about me anymore. It's got to be about the team, about the greater purpose. So if we can take that away, I think that's the biggest takeaway that I've heard tonight on humility. I have a couple more things for us real quick. I wrote down, again, we didn't talk about any of this, but here's what I wrote down. We want you at New Hope Community Church to be a part of a group. I'm looking at these guys. SEAL teams, like one of them, if you said, hey, go out and go to the Middle East and take on this entire, group, this entire village. Lou would probably say, well, I probably can't do that on my own. But you put 5 or 6 of these guys together, as you said, one of you just said, I'm on my own, I can't do what? You put 2 of you together, I'll rip your face off. You know what I'm saying? So you get a whole bunch of these people together, you get a whole bunch of these SEALs together, they can take on the world. I think the same holds true for us as men. The same holds true for us, Susan. We all need to have people in our lives, and I'm surrounded by some really good men in my life. We all need to have men in our lives who we can rely on. So we believe in New Hope Community Church that's about small group, that's about discipleship. I didn't know these guys were going to talk about that tonight, but I want to encourage you tonight, before you leave here, as Clint came up and talked about earlier, there's a sheet of paper in front of you. I want to encourage you. Look, even Jesus surrounded himself with 12 people. Right? So even Jesus, the Son of God, realized this is such a big mission for me. I can't do it on my own. I've got to find 12 guys who will hang out with me and make this thing happen. So I want to encourage you tonight, as we get ready to end this night up, be thinking about that, praying about it. Maybe even tonight you say, I'm not ready to do that, but I would encourage you to fill that form out. We're going to give those forms to Clint Taylor and say, you know what, I want to go deeper. I want to be a better husband, be a better father, better man. And I'm saying this to you, but I'm telling you this is my own prayer. I've been honest with you about my struggles in the church. I've shared with you my own struggles, my own journey, every single day. I've got Jimmy Green down here, who I would consider a very good friend of mine. We're constantly talking about growth, right? We're talking about books that we read. And I'm so thankful for this guy right down here, Dee, because of the conversation we have. And this man helps keep me on the straight and narrow. I think of other people in the church, Tom Woodruff, other people around here. We all need to have those people in our lives that help us on this growth path to become better husbands, better father, better men. So if you don't have those men with you tonight, I want to encourage you, think about that. And maybe you say, hey, look, I don't like the small groups you have. Talk to Clint, talk to Pastor David. We'll help you start your own small group. You find 5 or 6 people around you that you say, look, we don't like those other groups, that they don't represent us, but we like ourselves tonight, and we think we can do this. You talk to Pastor David, and I guarantee you that we'll get you set up so you can start your own small group. We will do that here at New Hope. We want you to be surrounded by great men who are going to help you on your path to becoming the man that God has called you to be. Guys, can we thank Lou and Jake tonight for making your way to the front. We're going to sing one final song before we leave. I'm going to pray for us real quick, and here's what I'm going to do. I want to pray for us as husbands, as fathers, as men. I want to pray for these guys right here before they get ready to take off. My prayer is that, as all of us, because I know enough of you in this room tonight to know that you're leaders, you're in the marketplace, you have teams that you're leading, you have organizations. Most of you have families that you're leading. I know that our prayer at New Hope is we want to be great leaders. We got to do that with the help of God. So I'm going to ask if we stand up tonight, and I'm going to pray for us. Britt and the team are going to lead us out with one more song. Thank you all for coming tonight, man. This means a great deal. Please, if you need a small group of discipleship, fill that form out, and that'll be a way that we can get in touch with you and show you that we've got teams for you. God, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you so much. I want to thank you for every single man that's in this room tonight that gave up a Friday night, time that they could be with their family, time that they could be with their kids, time they could be with their girlfriend, time that they could be doing work, whatever it is that they want to do at the gym, whatever it is they want to do so they could be here. God, I pray that as every man walks out this room tonight, that something that Lou or Jake said would walk with them. And then as they get in the car, they turn on the stereo, and they make that drive home, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, that you would see something in their head, something that they heard tonight, that they'd say, man, I want to go back to my team on Monday, and I want to be better. Whether they're the boss or they're just the team member guy. That every single one of us out here say, look, I want to make the marketplace better, and I can do that. I can do that by being a great member of my team on Monday morning. God, I pray that all of us in this room would be the leaders, husbands, the fathers, the men that you've called us to be, that you desire us to be. That is our prayer in this room. So God, for that man who needs to sign up for small group, give him the courage to fill out that form. The man who needs to sign up for discipleship, give him the courage, help him to find the time. Thank you for Matt Murdoch and his testimony and the life change that he's had. God, I pray that more men would sign up for that. God, I want to pray specifically tonight for Lou and for Jake. What great men. Humble. That's all I keep. This is the biggest word I'm going to walk away with tonight is humility. The lives that they have, the success that they've had in their lives, and it's because they have approached their work with humility. God, I pray you be with them. Be with Lou as he moves off to Texas, as he finishes up his Master of Business Administration, as he moves off to Texas. God, thank you for the fact that you gave him the strength, that even though he wanted to keep plugging away at being a Navy SEAL, you gave him the strength so that he would say no to the seals and say yes to his family. And God, I pray that the next 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 50 years with his family would be greater than he could possibly imagine because he made that decision to sacrifice. God, for Jake, as he continues to lead teams in the military, God, give him the strength as a husband, as a father. Give him the strength to do what he does, God. And be with both of these men as they move forward in life in their own leadership. And God, we know we're going to see great and powerful and wonderful things through them. Our God, thank you so much again for this night. Thank you for Chef Tony, for every man in this room. God, we want to be the leader that you've called us to be. We give you thanks and praise for all that you've done. In Jesus' name, amen. One more time, can we give God praise for you?
He's the lamb that was slain. Love you guys.